Depends how old the alumni are, it might be a little too much for the tenth grade.
Might have trouble with the stairs at this point.
We're getting all like ISB readers. My evaluations.
What'd you do?
Oh, here it is. I was gonna say, I put it
Been a long
away.
weekend.
I know it has. But today's a new day. Wrong again.
Here we go. It's called musical chairs.
Wasn't talking to you.
We'll call to order the regular meeting of the East Point Community Schools Board of Education, October 28th at 2024. Please call the roll.
Mr. Grunberg,
Here.
Mr. Williams here, Mr. Roscoe,
Here.
Mrs. Rayford,
I was not here earlier, but I am here now.
Mrs. Richardson, and Mrs. Grunberg.
Here.
We could all please stand. Dan will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next, I'm looking for a motion for approval of the agenda.
Place forth a motion to approve the agenda.
Second that?
Please call the vote.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mr. Roscoe,
Yes. Twice.
that's what I thought. Mrs. Rayford,
No.
and Mrs. Richardson.
Okay, is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as written.
Support.
Please call the vote.
Mrs. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Rayford,
No, for reasons already explained.
and Mrs. Richardson.
Okay, motion carries. Superintendent's report, Superintendent Gibson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, and for those of you joining us in the audience this evening. It is a pleasure to have so many of you with us tonight. We've got some great individuals that we are going to recognize this evening, so we're glad to have you all join us. We continue on our campaign for excellence here at East Point Community Schools in the programs and the people and the services that we offer to our community. We'd like to give a huge thank you to the Assistance League of Southeastern Michigan for bringing Operation School Bell to our students at Pleasant View and Forest Park. Operation School Bell has been coming to East Point Community Schools for a number of years. The operation and flow of the donations to our students changed during the pandemic, but we're back to the regular flow. And what happens is they come and set up a gigantic shopping experience in the school. It has coats, it had new coats, new shirts, hats, underwear, socks, toothbrushes, the whole 9 yards. And about 84 volunteers descended upon Pleasant View Elementary School, and they became the personal shoppers for the students. So volunteers went around with students. Students got to pick out their own coats, their own outfits. And you can see here in that center picture, those are the students with the duffel bags, which are about the size of some of our kindergarten students. And all of the students at both schools, and even some students who were not able to make it, all got a duffel bag full of items. It was an overwhelming experience. I have never seen so many volunteers in our schools before. And while it scared a lot of kids, just to be overwhelmed with that much, so many children were excited to pick out their own coat or their own items. So we are very grateful to all the volunteers that came from a broad swath of industry to come and be with us at Pleasant View, serving Forest Park and Pleasant View. It is National Principals Month. We celebrate those principals all the time and are grateful for everything that our principals and interim principals do in our schools. We have a wonderful crew of leaders that are committed to our children, our community, and our staff. So we are grateful to all of you principals and glad to have so many of you here this evening so that we could thank you. Congratulations to East Point Middle School cross country coach Marvin Henderson. Would like to recognize sixth grader Leilani Gruenberg for her excellent progress, hard work, and dedication throughout the middle school cross country season. Leilani finished with a personal record of 17.14 seconds, 17 minutes, 14 seconds in a 2-mile run. That is faster than I can walk, a 1-mile walk. So this is really a fantastic accomplishment, and a big thank you to Coach Marvin Henderson, who is working to grow our running program at both the middle school and the high school. East Point High School football, for those of you into prep sports, you may already know, our football season did finish early, but I would like to celebrate the accomplishments of the young men who were part of this amazing team. They were a young team of freshmen and sophomores, playing varsity players who had been playing for a number of years. And what was so impressive were these young men were committed to showing up even when they weren't winning. And sometimes it's easy to show up when you're winning and the work is easy. It is much harder to continue to show up when you face adversities. Maybe you're short on players, maybe the other team is better than you. But what's so impressive was that so many of our gentlemen continued to show up and continued to grow despite having challenges. And I could not be more proud of the East Point High School football team. They also had a really tough schedule. 6 of our 8 opponents all made the playoffs. And yet our students still showed up every game. So congratulations, gentlemen. And I know Coach Aaron is already gearing up and getting ready for next year. Field trip fun. We've had lots of great learning experiences happening in the past few weeks. Our preschoolers have been out visiting the apple orchard. Our middle school 6th graders took a boat tour of Detroit, and the Bellevue 3rd graders visited the Tollgate Farms. Thank you to all the staff and schools for making these experiences happen for our children here at East Point Community Schools. This evening, we will be recognizing 3 teachers who have obtained tenure with the organization, LaShawn Baskin, Paul Ignani, and Andrea Spohn. I have personally been in all of their classrooms, and I tell you that we are lucky to have all of them dedicate their time and talents to our children here at East Point. These are fantastic educators, and we are so lucky to have them as part of our organization. Tribute to the awardees from the Salute to Excellence. A very cool thing happened, and Sarah Lucido from the Macomb County School Board, Macomb County Commissioners, District 13, had some proclamations made to celebrate and recognize our Teachers of the Year and our Student of the Year at the Salute to Excellence. So we will be getting these proclamations to our 3 staff members, Kelly Berg, Karen Ladisser, and Chef Candace Shoemake, as well as Samantha Gilbert, our Student of the Year from East Point High School. Thank you, Sarah Lucido and the Macomb County Board of Commissioners. Upcoming events, East Point's Got Talent. Our talent show is tomorrow evening at 6:00 p.m. at East Point High School Auditorium. November 5th is Election Day. It is a no-school day for students. However, our staff will have training. There will be a variety of trainings offered in the morning, from CITW to specific skills for paraprofessionals. However, all of the district will come together on the afternoon of November 5th to continue our work in our diversity, equity, and inclusion training with Dr. Jay Marks. Jay is coming back to East Point after a popular request from visiting us in January of last year. November 11th, the Board of Education meeting will be at East Point High School in the auditorium at 6:00 p.m. 6:30 p.m. There is a typo on the slide. November 27th, we will be having a 6 through 12 visioning day with our community from 9:00 a.m. to 12:00 p.m. If you are a community member or a business interested in participating in some visioning for our unified 612 campus, we will be having some more conversations about the educational opportunities that the strategic plan drives us to offer to our students, and we would like to involve some more voices in that conversation. That concludes the superintendent's report this evening. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we have hearing of the public. We'll open that at 6:40. Does anyone wish to be heard? Anyone wish to be heard? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing of the public at 6:40. Discussion action, human resources. Is there a motion to support the instructional new hires? Number 1A1.
I make a motion that support the human resources for instructional new hires, EFE.
Support. Please call the roll.
Okay. Mrs. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Rayford,
No, for reasons previously disclosed.
Mrs. Richardson.
Next up, we do have some non-instructional new hires in the audience this evening. I'd like to turn it over to Executive Director of Human Resources, Julie Alspaugh.
Thank you, Superintendent, and good evening, Board, and those of you watching at home. It is with great enthusiasm that I recommend Ms. Paris McCarthy, who's here with her family, for the position of Activities and Athletic Director. Ms. McCarthy is not only an experienced math teacher, but also holds an administration certificate. Her leadership in athletics is well established, having served on the MHSAA Basketball Rules Committee and the Tournament Site Selection Committee. As a basketball coach, she has led her teams to 4 WWAC League Championships. She was honored as WDIV's 2020 Winter Coach of the Year and along with receiving many other nominations for Coach of the Year. During our interview process, what stood out to both our staff and our students that were involved in the interview process was her genuine passion and respect for students. She consistently demonstrates the willingness to go the extra mile and support student success. So Ms. McCarthy has presented exciting plans for building and expanding our programs, and we're confident that she will be a valuable addition to our East Point community family.
Ms. Alspaugh, Dr. Alspaugh, are those all the new hires that are present here this evening, or is there anybody else that you'd like to introduce?
Those are all the new hires, but I do want to give a shout out to our amazing new food service director that we have 3 cafeteria helpers that have started in the last few months. We now have another one at the middle school and 2 at the high school, but they're not here with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Okay, is there a motion to support the hiring of the non-instructional new hires?
Place a motion to support of the non-instructional new hires.
Support.
Please call the vote.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Rayford,
Yes.
and Mrs. Richards.
Motion carries. Next, we have teacher tenure recognition.
Back to Dr. Alspaugh.
It's a lot of me tonight, guys. I'd like to call up Principal Piper to discuss 2 out of 3 of our teachers we're recommending for tenure, Ms. LaShawn Baskin and Mr. Paul Ignani.
Hello, it's already on, right? Okay. So Mr. Ignani is in the audience this evening. Mr. Ignani was the first staff member that I hired at Bellevue Elementary after becoming the principal there. Although he's just now achieving tenure in our district for 5 years of service, he has many years prior to that in settings outside of the public school. One of the things I want to say about Mr. Ignani is his love for social studies and how he brings that into the classroom. On any given day, during any given unit, there will be artifacts in the classroom for students to view and put their hands on. Mr. Ignani may walk in the building dressed as someone from history, which is always exciting. The students love that, and non-fifth graders are excited to hopefully get to 5th grade someday and get to participate in that. Sometimes they have to go outside because there may be an activity that is requiring there not to be smoke detectors about when they're learning how flint is used and how fires may have been started back in the day. So I just want to say thank you, Mr. Ignani, for sticking it out. That was shortly before the pandemic. He lasted through the pandemic, and he is still here.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. And the other person, I thought you were going to say her name. The other staff member at Bellevue who is also up for tenure is LaShawn Baskin. She is the instructional coach at Bellevue. She began at a different building in the district, and a few years ago, we were in need for an instructional coach, and Ms. Baskin was the person for that job. She is fabulous at making connections with families and with students, and also supporting teachers and their needs, and myself too. She helped me remember this morning to find the positive. So she not only coaches our teachers, she works with our students and families, and she coaches me through some challenges as well.
We are also here to celebrate Ms. Andrea Spahn, and we are going to have interim principal Gadke come out and speak about her.
Good evening. I'm Becky Gadke, and I'm the interim principal at Forest Park. I've had the pleasure of working with Andrea Spahn for the last 3 years. I was fortunate to begin my career at Forest Park actually with Andrea as a first grade team member and my mentor. I quickly realized that Andrea was one of the most talented educators that I've had the privilege of working with. She's an incredibly strong instructional leader, piloting our iReady math curriculum and helping her grade level team intentionally plan and collaborate to meet each of her students' needs. She's always willing to share her knowledge and has served as a mentor to several new teachers in our building. Through my collaboration with Andrea as Forest Park's student success coach, I got to witness how above and beyond she goes for her students' social, emotional well-being. She creates a classroom environment that holds her students to high expectations, but also one of mutual respect for each other. She allows her students to co-create her classroom rules and encourages them to take ownership of their learning. She builds and fosters strong connections with not only her students, but with their families as well. She recognizes the importance of a true partnership with students and their families. In addition to being a wonderful teacher, Andrea is an amazing colleague and leader at Forest Park. She serves as the first grade representative on our building turnaround network and actively participates in the after-school activities committee. She's always willing to provide insight, advice, and boosts her colleagues' morale. We're very lucky to have Andrea as a teacher and part of our staff at Forest Park. She leaves a lasting impact on all of the students that are lucky enough to have her and our staff who continue to get to learn from her expertise.
Thank you. Next, we have a what's that? Oh, wait a minute.
You don't have to take it. I'll just double check.
Oh, no. Okay, next we have resolution to adopt 80-20% employer-employee health care cost per Public Act 152. Is there a motion to continue that, I guess is really what it is, right?
With support? You put the motion
I put the motion out
on.
there.
Yeah, still support.
Okay. Didn't even realize I was doing it, but I guess I did.
Question,
Yes, ma'am.
is this cost, does it apply for both union and non-union employees? Because I wasn't really sure, or if we had negotiated something differently for union.
It applies to all employees. The district has to, according to PA 152, we adopt a resolution whether we are going to be, now there is conversation at the state level about some changes coming, but at this time, it is either that the district runs a hard cap on our health insurance benefits, or we elect to be 80-20. And we are a self-insured provider, and our insurance plan is running well, so therefore we are recommending that we continue with 80-20.
And this is absolutely no change to what we've been doing.
No, East Point Community Schools has been an 80-20 self-insured district for the better part of 10 years.
Please call the vote.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Rayford,
Yes.
Mrs. Richardson,
Yes.
and Mrs. Grunberg.
Yes.
Okay, before I adjourn, I'm interested in getting pictures of some of these folks.
Yes, before, well, we could adjourn.
That's what I'm saying, but I just want to let some of these folks hang out, please, after I hit this gavel, because I think some people might want to.
The board would like to come down and congratulate you and possibly get some pictures, so
Yeah,
please
so
don't.
please don't take off. Meeting adjourned.